All right, let's jump into this deep dive into offshore gold storage. We're looking at an article from Rari from July 2024. Title is Conservare oro all'estero, come e dove quali precauzioni adottare, which translates to storing gold abroad, how, where, and what precautions to take. So we're going to figure out what's important for keeping your gold safe overseas.
Yeah, this is a topic that's becoming more and more relevant these days. It's not just for the super wealthy anymore, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people are thinking about diversifying and just you know, with everything going on in the world, people want to make sure their assets are safe.
That makes sense, but wouldn't moving assets to another country just kind of shift the risk? How do you even know if those locations are going to be stable in the long run?
That's where the real research comes in. You can't just pick a country because it sounds safe on the surface. You need to look at their political climate, economic history, their legal framework, the whole picture, right?
Got it. So it's a lot more complicated than it seems. Speaking of complicated, this article talks about the security measures. Like, what should people be looking for? What are the specifics?
It's got to be more than just armed guards at the door. You want layers of security surveillance systems, biometric access control. Ideally, even a location that's close to law enforcement. Like, think of that famous vault in Vienna, police station right across the street.
Ah, that's a good point. I wouldn't want to try anything funny over there. But what about insurance? Is that something that is included with these facilities?
Oh, yeah, full insurance, that's non-negotiable. You need coverage for theft, damage, any other risk you can think of. And don't settle for the bare minimum. Look into additional coverage for peace of mind.
Right, you don't want to skimp on protecting your gold. But finding information about these facilities must be difficult, especially with privacy being such a big deal in this industry.
You're absolutely right. Customer reviews are almost impossible to find. Nobody wants to advertise their gold stash. So it really comes down to due diligence, looking for providers with a good reputation and a track record of transparency.
So kind of word-of-mouth recommendations then.
Either way, yeah.
But how can you be sure the information is accurate? It seems like there's a lot of trust involved.
That's why it's essential to dig deeper. Go beyond the marketing and ask tough questions about regulations, procedures, fees, everything.
So really get into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. A trustworthy provider will be upfront about all costs involved, storage fees, insurance premiums, even potential taxes or duties. You don't want any surprises down the line.
Transparency is key for sure. This article mentions the top 5 countries for offshore gold storage. And one that stands out is Switzerland. Everyone knows they have the highest gold reserves per capita, but what makes their facility special?
Well, it goes beyond just high security. Switzerland has specific laws that actually benefit gold owners. Plus, they've got a reputation for financial stability and neutrality, which is a big draw for a lot of investors. But all that comes at a cost. Switzerland is definitely one of the pricier options out there.
Switzerland comes at a premium, that's for sure. What are the specific advantages that justify that cost? Are we talking legal protections, insurance guarantees, something else entirely?
It's kind of a combination of factors. First, their legal system is designed to protect private property, including precious metals. Second, their insurance market is incredibly robust, offers comprehensive coverage. And third, you can't ignore the historical factor. Switzerland's been a safe haven for wealth for centuries. That reputation isn't going anywhere.
So peace of mind, backed by a solid legal framework and proven track record.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Let's move on to another contender, Singapore. They're known for their modern infrastructure and tech-driven approach. But are there downsides to relying so much on technology in such a high-stakes environment?
It's a valid concern. Technology enhances security, but it can also create vulnerabilities. What if there's a power outage or a cyber attack? You want to make sure the facilities have robust backup systems and multi-layered security protocols. You want to know they can handle anything. Natural disasters, sophisticated hacking attempts, you name it.
So a balance between cutting-edge tech and good old-fashioned resilience.
Exactly. Benefits of innovation without sacrificing reliability. And that goes for any offshore storage provider, regardless of location.
That's an important takeaway. Now let's talk accessibility. Some people think offshore storage is a set it and forget it kind of thing. But what if you need to access your gold?
That's where the details really matter. Some facilities offer global retrieval options. You can access your gold from various locations around the world. Others might require you to physically visit the facility, which might not be convenient if you're traveling or live far away.
A trade-off between security and convenience, then.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
What about security implications for 247 access, like the vault in Austria offers?
That's a great question. 247 access is convenient, but it definitely raises security concerns. Facilities offering that kind of access have incredibly stringent security protocols. Multiple layers of authentication, biometric verification, constant surveillance.
So really tight security to compensate for the increased accessibility.
You bet.
What about the cost? Are there budget-friendly options for offshore gold storage?
Well, the Cayman Islands are often mentioned as a more cost-effective alternative. They offer competitive storage prices compared to some other jurisdictions, while still maintaining high security standards. It's a popular choice for people who want that balance of security and affordability.
So there are options at different price points, which is good. It makes it more accessible. Our article also mentions Austria and New Zealand as potential locations. What's unique about those places?
Austria's got that vault with 247 access, which is pretty unique. Plus, you can buy gold directly from the Austrian mint. Cuts out the middleman, saves on transportation costs.
Direct from the mint, that's interesting. What about New Zealand? Not the first place I'd think of for offshore finance.
New Zealand actually has a really cool history with gold. They have one of the oldest private vaults in the world, dates back to the 1930s. And get this, they offer a turnkey service. Your gold is sent to a private vault within your own safe deposit box, and the key is sent directly to you.
Wow, a secret within a secret. That level of privacy and control is pretty impressive. We've talked a lot about the logistics of offshore storage, but what about the emotional side of things? What kind of person considers this strategy?
It often comes down to a desire for control and security. In an uncertain world, holding gold offshore allows people to diversify their assets and potentially safeguard their wealth against instability.
So it's not just about the numbers, it's about peace of mind.
Exactly. Knowing a portion of your wealth is secure no matter what happens.
It's like having a backup plan.
Yeah, a safety net for your financial future. For some, it's also about legacy, ensuring their wealth is preserved and passed down, protected from potential risks.
Family security, that's an important aspect too. What's your top piece of advice for someone intrigued by offshore gold storage?
Do your research, without a doubt. This isn't a decision to make lightly. Understand the complexities, weigh the costs and benefits, and most importantly, be clear about your own motivations. Why are you considering this? What are your concerns? Once you have those answers, you can evaluate providers and locations with a clear head.
It's like any major financial decision. You need to plan carefully. Are there any red flags people should watch out for when choosing a provider?
Oh, absolutely. Be wary of any provider that's not transparent about fees, regulations, security protocols. If something feels off, trust your gut. Don't be pressured into making a decision before you're ready.
Good advice. We focused on the practical and emotional aspects. But what about the ethical considerations?
That's a complex topic. There are different perspectives to consider. Some people see offshore storage as a legitimate way to protect assets, while others might have concerns about tax avoidance or lack of transparency. It's important to be aware of these viewpoints and make an informed decision based on your own values.
Be a responsible investor. Before we wrap up, let's touch on the fact that finance is constantly changing. What trends might impact the future of offshore gold storage?
One big one is the increasing digitization of finance. We're seeing digital gold platforms and blockchain-based solutions, offering new ways to invest and store gold.
So technology is changing the game. How might this impact traditional providers?
They'll need to adapt to stay competitive. We might see hybrid models emerge, combining physical storage with the flexibility of digital platforms. It's an evolving space. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
That's a great point to leave our listeners with. The world of offshore gold storage is dynamic. Staying informed is crucial. It's about understanding the trends, evaluating risks and benefits, and ultimately making a decision that aligns with your goals and values.
And remember, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's about finding the right fit for your individual circumstances.
So much to think about. It's been a really interesting deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Where should people go for more information if they want to really dig into this?
Reputable industry publications are a good starting point. Look for articles from experts, that kind of thing. Financial news websites can also be helpful. They'll keep you up to date on market trends and regulations.
Can I get your finger on the pulse?
Exactly. And don't underestimate government resources. A lot of countries have websites about financial education and consumer protection, which often includes info on offshore investing.
Those are some good resources. But for someone serious about this, shouldn't they talk to a professional?
Absolutely. A qualified financial advisor who specializes in offshore asset management can be really valuable. They can help assess your needs, evaluate different options, develop a strategy.
So it's like having a guide in this complex world.
Yeah, exactly.
You talked about the importance of personal values and ethics earlier. How can someone be sure they're making choices that align with their principles?
It starts with self-reflection. Ask yourself what's important to you. Are you okay with the level of transparency in offshore storage? Do you have concerns about taxes? Once you know your values, you can research providers and jurisdictions that match them.
So due diligence on the ethical side, too.
Exactly. Responsible investing goes beyond just making money. It's about feeling good about your choices, making choices that reflect your values and contribute to a better financial system.
That's a great point. We've covered a lot in the deep dive. Offshore gold storage is not as simple as it might seem,
It's a whole world unto itself.
but we hope you've gained some valuable insights today. Remember, it's not just about protecting your wealth. It's about making informed and responsible decisions. Decisions that align with your values and long-term goals. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.